Test, 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 testing. Test, test, test. Testing, testing, test Ickles, testing. Welcome, come on in, fam. Everyone, come on in. Test, test, test. Testing, testing, testing. Test Ickles, test Ickles. Welcome on Twitch and YouTube. Come on in through the door. I am just getting Facebook and Instagram up and going. Test, 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 testing. Test, test, test. Testing, testing, testing. Testing, testing, testing. Test Ickles, testing, test Ickles. Testing, 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 testing. Test Ickles, test Ickles. Welcome everyone to episode 768 of The Daily Mother of Swole, the most muscular Swolecast, Beardcast, Broadcast, Gaincast, Mancast, Pimpcast, and Slaycast in the realm. Because when I flex, you flex, we all flex our biceps. And I do apologize if the video is a little bit choppy, but I am getting your comments, so please drop your comments and just deal with the choppy video because I am streaming from what appears to be a much, 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 much weaker internet connection than I had anticipated. But we're going to do our best. And I do see comments popping up. So even I'm not really doing too much with my arms or my, if you're watching on Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook, I'm not really doing anything with demonstration. So just listen in and drop the comments. And hopefully the audio is coming in all right. So if you're watching on Facebook and YouTube, please drop some comments and let me know how the audio is coming in. And I will do my best to adjust as needed. So this episode, obviously live, quadruple stream on Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And yes, Papa Swolio is abroad. Well, I'm not abroad, but I'm abroad from the normal game train. I'm on the Swole train today. So a little bit of a different background. You like my nice pattern, my nice checkered pattern on the drapes, on the blinds. What's going on, Instagram? What up, fam? A Brad, Budgie, Captain Robert. What's going on, fam? Lynn, Raina, Abigail on Facebook. What up, Pimp Team? What's going on? So happy Hump Day, everyone. And on this Hump Day, episode 768, we're going to get into some single leg discussion. Now, you may remember when I posted on YouTube and I also posted on Facebook when I posted that superset of the sumo squats with the single leg Romanian deadlift. And what I want to go into a little bit more, because today is Wednesday and today is Hump Day, and many of you do leg day on Wednesday, specifically because it's Hump Day. So what's the most important thing to focus on when it comes to legs? If you want to build humps, now let's talk about why or what you're trying to accomplish with your leg training. What you think you want to accomplish and what you are really trying to accomplish. In other words, what you should be focusing on and what you think you are focusing on. And yes, Greg, I explained that at the beginning, that the video is going to be a hot mess, so just ignore the video and pay attention to the audio. But I'm seeing comments and everything is fine. Yes, I am on hotel Wi-Fi, and there's no upgradable Wi-Fi, unfortunately, so I'm stuck with, I had to play around with a couple different connection options. I try to hook into the right one because there's like 10 different available Wi-Fis. So I checked and kept on logging into different Wi-Fi's to see what the best one is. So the video is going to be extremely choppy. Actually, let me drop a comment here. Video will be extremely choppy, but I can see your comments, so enjoy the audio. Smiley face. I'll put that on Facebook. So today's episode. Yeah, so anyone that's coming in, I'll see if I can pin that comment on Facebook. But of course, this will be also a podcast, so you can catch up on this later. But I'm also live on Instagram, so you're going to see me. If you want better visual, if you want better video, you can go over on Instagram. If you want to see some more smooth video, I'm assuming no one's dropping comments yet on IG, but that's what we're doing here. So it's really interesting trying to play on a laptop, or do this on a laptop with one screen when I normally have 3 or 4 screens going on at the same time. So this would have worked better if I had better Wi-Fi, but at least you can hear me for the audio, and that's the most important thing. Okay, so when it comes to your single leg training, so let me break down how this is going to work. When you are doing your leg training, and any of you that are watching, when you are focusing on legs today, being your hump day, and any day if you're doing it tomorrow or Friday, your leg training needs to revolve around activation before it comes into strength movements and multi-joint movements. And the difference between and what gets lost with powerful movements and heavy strength based movements like a squat or a deadlift or a lunge is the lack of activation of the glutes. And one of the big, I would say, the big swing and misses in society when it comes to weight training, when it comes to lifting weights, when it comes to developing legs, when it comes to building that base, which is extremely important. You need the lower half of your fucking body. So first off, you need to be training your legs. I don't care if you're a bodybuilder. I don't care if you're an athlete. I don't care if you are just looking for general aesthetics or health. Your legs are how you move, right? Your legs are how you move. Your legs are how you are going to walk from now until you are 80, 90, until you die. And if you're not walking, you know that you are in a wheelchair, so you have other problems. So in order to avoid that kind of immobility in the future and to keep your mobility quality as you are going through your life, you need to train your legs, but train them properly. So there is a huge difference between the isolation and the integrated movements and the integrated action of the musculature in the lower body. So when you're doing a squat, it's a multi-joint exercise, the ankles, the knees, and the hips. And when you are doing an integrated exercise, that just means that you have multiple muscles working together in order to perform an action, right? In order to perform an action, you have the glutes, the hamstrings, the quadriceps, the hip flexors stabilizing, providing force, the calves stabilizing, the ankle and the knees. So you have all these different muscles integrating, right? Working. It's like international, it's like the United Nations, it's like the UN. You have all these muscles coming together and performing an action together, synchronized to the best of their ability. Now, the issue when you look online, you say, okay, I want to build my legs. How do I build my legs? You type into Google, how do I build legs? And then it pulls up on Google, squats. Do your squats and all these videos on YouTube and Instagram of doing your squats, do your pulse reps, do your squats, do lunges, do deadlifts. Okay, fine. That's good advice. I mean, squats are very functional. They're very basic. Deadlifts are very functional. They're very basic. These are great exercises. The issue is that they are integrated exercises. Now, what I just told you about integrated exercises is that they require the communication and the synchronization of multiple muscle groups around multiple joints working together to perform an outcome. Because you do not have proper postural activation, because you do not have the individual muscles functioning as they should, because of sitting down in a chair too much, because of inhibition essentially from pressure, from sitting on the glutes, from keeping them stretched too often, from not doing these exercises, from not training, from being out of shape for 20 or 30 years or 40 years or more, these individual muscles aren't up to par in order to be able to work together. So it's very functional to squat. It's super basic. It's like bottom level. You want to get out of a chair, you're doing a squat. You want to get up off the ground, you're doing a lunge, you're doing a squat. You're picking something off the ground, essentially you're doing a deadlift. And because those movements are so functional and so simple, that you have a lot of people that are getting into training, especially on undereducated personal trainers and people that are just looking up workouts online. You want to get into shape, you go to your local gym, your trainer's like, hey, let's start with some squats. You do some body weight squats, you do other kinds of squats. You look online for a training program, oh, let me do these squats, let me do these deadlifts. So you end up doing these things that are very basic, and seemingly that's going to build your legs, that's going to work. But because of your poor habits and your poor postural patterns and everything throughout your entire life, your glutes are not firing properly, Your hamstrings are often working too hard or too tight or too shortened. So your hips are out of balance to start with, not to mention pressures altered around your knees. So you have all these individual systems that are not working efficiently or to their maximum capacity to start with. And then you're trying to integrate them. And that's inherently that's the first problem. You're trying to integrate muscles. You're trying to integrate these systems that are not activated individually. So before you can put these things together, in a puzzle, you need to have them working together within themselves. So you have two different types of work with a muscle. You have intermuscular communication, which is muscles communicating with one another, kind of like what I meant by integrated. So there's intermuscular, and that means like international. So you have two different countries working together, you have different muscles working together. So that's integration, intermuscular communication. Then you also have intramuscular communication, which means essentially the activation and the neural firing and the neural coordination, the neuromuscular coordination within a single muscle group. So within the biceps, within the glutes, for example. So pertinent to today's discussion, why single legs are so important, or single leg training, if your glutes are not activating properly, I don't care if you have a big ass, I don't care if you have a fat ass, it doesn't mean you have activated glutes. It does not mean that your gluteus maximus, your gluteus medius, it does not mean that those big muscles on the back of your hips that provide that tracking through your gait, that provide that hip extension, it does not mean that those muscles are working efficiently. And if those muscles are not working efficiently, if you do not have your glutes activating properly, you are going to have instability and improper movement during those compound movements like a squat, like a lunge. And as we very well know, most people, when you go to the squat, they squat 100, 200 pounds. They go over and they put a lot of weight on the leg press or lunges. So even if you're a beginner, even if you're a housewife, right? You've never trained before. You had two kids, you're just getting back in the gym, want to lose weight. You look online, you see squats, squats, squat, 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 squat. Everyone's doing squats, right? Just like the song. Everyone's doing fucking squats, which is fine. Squats are great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you shouldn't be squatting. What I am saying is that your squats should not supersede the fact that you need to have the right muscles working during your squat. So, on my YouTube channel, I highly recommend go check it out because I will be posting more training videos on that training playlist. But one of the last ones, if not the last one there, is a superset between the Romanian deadlift, the single leg, and the sumo squat. And the reason why the Romanian deadlift, the single leg RDL, is so efficient is that when you go single leg, not only are you isolating the glutes when you're doing the exercise properly, you are allowing the body to work in multiple planes of motion for stabilization because you have different parts of the glutes. You have the gluteus maximus on more of the posterior side of the glutes, and you have the gluteus medius, which is on the outer portion, right? The lateral side or the away from the midline, the side of the hip. And when you go single leg, you get a couple different actions. You get that hip extension in the sagittal plane front to back, and you also get stabilization in the frontal plane side to side. So when you go single leg, if you're doing it properly, you're getting a lot of neural activation within the glute muscles, within that musculature. So you're getting a lot of the vector forces going side to side and front to back. So you're getting a lot of stimulation with the glutes. So if you're trying to fire the glutes more, and if you're trying to improve your glute activity during your leg movement, so for example, if you're doing deadlifts, you're doing squats, and you're not feeling it, I get so many messages about people, and that's another reason why I wanted to do this topic today. I've been getting a lot of messages lately about people not feeling it in their glutes. I don't feel it in my booty when I do my lunges and squats. You feel it in your hamstrings, or you feel it in your lower back. And that's because of postural distortions. That's because of improper coordination or lack of coordination. And that doesn't mean lack of coordination like you're falling over. It means lack of coordination, meaning the brain, the central system that's triggering muscle contraction is not getting the message through to the muscles. It's not getting through. to the muscles. No, I didn't discuss how many days a week. I did not discuss that's irrelevant. I'm not even that's not even a portion of how many. Like you can do single leg deadlifts. Single leg deadlifts with body weight, you can do them every day if you're using body weight. But you can do them once or twice a week. Do them first on your leg day. Do them twice a week. If you're doing resistance, then you can do them maybe once. Just do them with your legs. It's not like it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change, oh, because you're doing single leg, you're going to do them 6 days a week as opposed to 1 day a week. But the stress is different. You're doing higher repetitions, you're doing less weight, you're not doing hundreds of pounds with a single leg deadlift. And the trick or the actual key is, and the big thing when it comes to single leg deadlifts is if you need to activate your glutes, you're not going to be squatting anymore. Because when you are teaching your body how to move and you go and you do your single leg squats because your glutes are not activating properly, you go right back to your squat, you're going to go back to your old form. So really, when you're doing corrective exercises, you should be almost avoiding squats in many ways at the beginning. There are different ways to integrate squats a little bit more with using bands and resistance bands around the outside of your thighs to encourage hip abduction, which is very important. And that's going to be something that those of you that are members of the Daily Swole Club on Facebook Messenger, I'm going to be sending out some information, also a link where you can get some of these bands and bands that I recommend. I'll send you a link in there as well. So if you're not a member of the Daily Swole Club, go on my Facebook page and send me a message, and it'll give you information on how to get on the Daily Swole Club, where I send you awesome little knowledge nukes and exercise breakdowns and recipes and stuff throughout the week. And it'll help you keep your engine running, keep you really engaged. But I'm going to post another video, and the next one that I'm going to send out is going to be for the lateral tube walk, and I'm going to explain that exercise a little bit more, and also give you all a link where you can easily purchase those. It's like $10 for like the bands, and it'll help you for your activation. And we'll talk more about glute activation moving forward. And once I'm back in the studio, I will be doing some of these videos, and I'll bring some demos live on the show so you guys can see that a little bit more when we're doing the daily. So bottom line, start there. Start with a single leg exercise. Start with a single leg deadlift. Start with that move, and that's on my YouTube playlist on under training. And the reason is you need to get that activation. You need to fire those muscles first before you start looking towards integrated movements. And usually it's the opposite. Everyone wants to get their squat and get their booty going, and all of a sudden everyone just goes to, they go to just squats or deadlifts. And that's fine, but it's more higher level. It's more higher level. Okay, so if you're thinking of a pyramid, the stabilization exercise, the balance exercise, the individual, the intramuscular exercises, the activation, right, where we're trying to fix posture, we're isolating the glutes, we're isolating the gluteus medius. These are warm-up exercises. These are corrective exercises. And a corrective exercise doesn't mean you're injured. And that's where a lot of people get that wrong. Corrective exercise does not mean you're injured. It does not mean that you're going light and you're going to be not training hard. A corrective exercise just means that you're working and focusing more on the balance and the postural correction rather than strength and force output or speed or agility. It's just a different style of training. It's a different goal. And that kind of approach to your training and understanding that the name of a certain type of exercise doesn't mean that it's a weak exercise. A lot of dudes don't want to go to the gym and do corrective exercise because it sounds like physical therapy. And a lot of it might seem like physical therapy, where in reality, it's not that it's physical therapy. It's that the goal of doing that exercise is not getting a six-pack. It's not I'm trying to get as huge as possible. It's not I'm maxing out. It's activating the muscles. But I'm telling you, just like yoga, and you all know how big I am on yoga and how much I talk about yoga, the beauty and the importance of doing corrective exercise is that in doing corrective exercise, in doing this activation before, when you're warming up before leg day, and in general, like maybe 2 or 3 times a week, and backing off the heavier compound movements, this is going to help you activate all your muscles in the squat better. This is going to help you activate and feel. And those of you that are squatting, it sucks when you squat and you don't feel a burn in your glutes and you don't feel it back there. It's all quad dominant. And most people are quad dominant because we're sitting down so much. There's so much forward movement. We're always walking forward. We never walk backwards. I'm not talking about those gym, fitness chick jabronis that are like stepping backwards on a step mill, right? They're walking backwards up steps or on a treadmill. That's stupid stuff. I'm just talking about in general during daily life, activities of daily living. You're not walking backwards. So you never really get a ton of that type of coordination, that type of glute activation, because you're not doing tons of hip extension moving backwards. And when you're walking forwards, you're usually not tracking through your every step really powerfully, right? You're not getting powerful hip extension. And because those things don't really happen in our daily life, we don't really dig into what the glutes can do. We don't get deep into that muscle tissue. And by doing these exercises, you are going to create more balance. You're going to create a better length tension relationship around the hips and around those joints. So when you get to your squats, you'll move more freely. I mean, combine this with yoga, mobility exercises. When you move better and the right muscles are activating, you will start getting the most and getting a lot more out of your leg workouts and out of your squats. I mean, if I was sitting here and just saying, hey, when you walk in the gym, what are you interested in getting a lot more quality out of your squat? Are you interested in feeling a lot more of a pump in your legs when you do lunges? Are you interested in feeling it more in your glutes when you do lunges? Are you interested in getting more shape and getting more muscular development from your leg workouts? I don't think anyone would say no. Why would you? Hey, would you like to get more results? No, I just want to waste my time. Of course you're going to say yes. Of course you're going to say yes. Of course you're going to want more results. Of course you're going to want better, you're going to want better, effect of your training. And the way you're going to get better effect from your training is by doing these isolation, by doing these isolated exercises, these activation exercises, these quote corrective exercises. And those are simple things as like weighted hip bridges or frog bridges or single leg hip bridges. These are things you can do at home. These are things you can do in a hotel room like where I'm at right now. These are things you can do anywhere with little to no weight. A lot of these things need absolutely no weight. You can bring a lateral band and activate your glutes and do glute activation. You do not need a ton of weight. And that is the beauty of these movements, is that they are body weight related because of what you do during your day, every single day, as you live and breathe, which is which is body weight. You're not carrying around tons of weight all the time every day. So those habits, Eric Dean, glute activation has been key for my legs. Big difference. No doubt, brother. No doubt. And because you're not carrying around extra weight all the time, like right now, let's say I'm sitting down. Well, my glutes are lengthened and I'm putting pressure on them because my gravity is pulling the rest of my body through the chair and through my glutes. So that pressure is actually inhibiting the muscle tissue. Because there is physical pressure, my brain relaxes the tension in the glutes and allows them to relax. Now you compound that over 40 years sitting at a desk in an office and your glutes really shut down and stop working. That's why you see people, men, women, with pancake ass. Trust me, I saw some serious fucking pancake ass yesterday. Short story, and it's more like a horror story. So get your kids out of the room because it's frightening. I was coming across and road in Florida, and there's no exit, right? So it's like you're going over a swamp, and there's no other way around. So when there's an accident, it's like stopped for an hour or two. So it got stopped in brutal traffic, and people were standing out, walking around. It was that kind of traffic where the cars are not moving, so everyone's just like getting out of their cars. It was that bad. And there are like these teenage girls that got out, and we're looking at them like, oh my God, like literal pancake ass, but wearing shorts where you can kind of like your butt hangs out the bottom of them, but there's like nothing to hang down. So the shorts are kind of like riding high. You're supposed to show like some butt cheek coming out, but there's no butt cheek to come out, so it's just kind of like loose, like flat butt. It was nasty. So it's pancake ass. But that's what you get. That's what accountants get. That's what I'm not saying every accountant out there has a flat ass, but if you're sitting down on something regularly, what's going to happen? What's going to happen if you take a ball of clay and you squeeze it together over and over again? It's going to get flat. It's going to get flat. And I mean, that's huge. It's huge. When you realize that your muscles, when you start looking at your fitness, and you realize that your muscles not only work together, they also work individually within themselves. Then your fitness changes completely because then it becomes, okay, I'm working these muscles individually and then I'm putting them together. I mean, you can't tell me that doing a biceps curl or doing a curl exercise and isolating the biceps won't help you with your rows, won't help you with your pull-ups. Absolutely. I mean, just doing curls all the time and never practicing your pull-ups and never practicing integrated movements, okay, well, you're not going to get better at that because you have to practice doing and training the muscles together to work together. But it changes the game when you realize you have to work these muscles individually and work them together. So you have to teach them in different ways. There's different exercises that will train them together, and there's different exercises that will train them individually. And that gives you a lot of freedom, that gives you a lot of leeway, and that gives you a lot of different things to do. And very, very logically can also cause a lot of confusion. Like, oh man, where do I start? What do I do? Bottom line, at minimum, you want to be warming up. You want to be doing these types of exercises like the lateral tube walk. Again, it's on my YouTube channel. Um, you also want to do things like the single leg squat, single leg hip bridge, the single leg Romanian deadlift. Those are all things that you can do before your leg workout to warm up. Also, you can do these on separate days. You can do these maybe on a Tuesday, your leg day is on Thursday or Friday, and you do them as a warm up. You also do them on a corrective exercise day, or on a yoga day, or on a mobility day, for example. So you have a lot of variety, and you have a lot of different ways you can slice this up. But what you should be focusing on is making it a priority and making it something that is a part of your overall training and your overall concept of wellness and strength. Do not ignore corrective exercises. Do not think of corrective exercises as physical therapy, as weak, or as, oh, I'm not going to get huge, I'm not going to get results because I'm doing a corrective exercise. That is just the name of it. It's just descriptive in what the goal of doing that exercise. I'm always talking about your goal, right? When I talk about CrossFit, or I talk about cycling or swimming, or hey, I go running 5 days a week. That's fine, right? If you're running 5 days a week, but you want to run more and you're training for a marathon, then obviously you have to run. You're not going to get better at running by cycling. You're not going to get better at swimming by going for a walk, right? You're not going to get better at shoveling dirt if you are doing pull-ups all day. I mean, it's training for the task at hand. What are you trying to accomplish, and then what are you doing to accomplish that task? So if you're trying to, for example, get stronger with your legs, it would make sense, okay, I need to do squats. I need to do deadlifts. I need to do big compound movements. I need to get stronger. I need to do squats. Okay, that's all well and good. And yes, it's true. You should be doing squats. It's very basic. I mean, squats are not only basic in human function, but it's a basic exercise in weight training as well for that reason, because it's bending down and getting up. I mean, everyone should be able to do that. Pain or no, I mean, you should be able to do a squat. No matter if it's 100 pounds, 0 pounds, 500 pounds, you should be able to do a squat. Now, if we agree that squat is a very foundational, functional, important exercise and will build a lot of mass and muscle and shape, I mean, ladies, gentlemen, everyone, you'll benefit from this exercise. How do we then get the most out of our squat? That's how you have to think about fitness. Then how do you get the most out of your squat? Now it's the challenge, and now is the direction. Okay, squats are great. How do I squeeze every juice out of that squat lemon? Well, you're going to start with doing these corrective exercises to make sure the glutes are activated. You're going to be doing yoga to lengthen the hip flexors and the rectus femoris and make sure that those hip flexing parts of the quadriceps and of the hip, on that front part of the hip that usually get overworked or very stiff or very tight, don't overblow and don't overshadow the ability of the body to produce strong hip extension and glute activation and the glute medius and the external rotation, all these things that really do fire some amazing musculature and that will build that posterior chain that gets really ignored in most daily activities and in most training. Everyone goes towards that fucking leg extension machine. Very rarely should you ever do leg extensions. Not only does it put a lot of pressure on the patellar tendon, but the society and the training style of most people is already extremely, extremely, extremely quad dominant. You don't need to be isolating your quads like that. If anything, you need to be focusing on isolating your glutes, your hamstrings, your posterior chain, and integrating that all with things like squats and lunges and deadlifts, which you'll get plenty, plenty, plenty of quad development. And this is where you have people going to the gym and just compounding an issue that already exists. So I just told you you need to activate the glutes. And then you have people going to the gym and doing leg extensions. Hey, I want to work my legs. And you have trainers and you have these, gym circuits. Let me go here. Let me do some curls. Let me do some extensions. And you're splitting up muscle groups on these machines. And you're doing these isolated muscle groups, but that's not the type of isolation you want to do. You don't want to isolate a muscle that's already overworked. Why do you want to isolate the chest when the chest is already too tight, right? Why are you trying to isolate the shoulders and do overhead pressing on a machine, for example, when the anterior deltoid gets too much work? Why are you trying to do lat exercises when you have too much internal rotation of the humerus? You don't need more lat work, you need more posterior rotator cuff, you need more posterior deltoid, you need more middle and lower trapezius. Those are all accomplished by doing these types of isolated activation exercises, like the floor cobra for the middle and lower traps and the posterior rotator cuff and shoulder. The glutes, the single leg Romanian deadlift, single leg hip bridge, just a regular hip bridge, a single leg balance reach. All these stabilization corrective based exercises isolate the muscles that need to be worked more, that need to be fired. And because isolation works so well, when those people start doing leg extensions like crazy and pretty much compounding issues that already exist, that's when you start getting real problems, because you're going to the gym and then you'll understand, why is my knee hurt? I've been working out. I don't know. I guess I'm just getting old. No, Schmendrick, it's because you already had issues before you went to the gym, and then conveniently enough, you went to the gym and compounded those issues by doing the wrong exercises in isolation, and blah 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 blah. So people go to the gym and they think that just by going to the gym, I'm moving, I'm lifting, that things are going to work out, and that's not the case. You'll go to the gym and you can make things worse. And that's a narrative that I want to discuss more in upcoming episodes, that the gym is equally a place where you can go and make things a lot worse and not make it better. So the gym is a great place. You can go and do something. You can do stuff at home. Like, the gym is an arbitrary term. It's like where you're getting your fitness on. You can easily exercise. Not that it's not healthy, not that you won't get some benefit. Okay, you'll improve your strength a little bit, but you could be making some issues a lot worse that could lead you to more problems down the road, because now when you start doing things wrong, it's one thing to move improperly. And fam, it's a whole other issue to move improperly under a load. So when you have 100 pounds, 50 pounds, 200 pounds, and then you move improperly, then you start getting like things snapping and bulging discs and herniated and real pain. You start really having issues because it gets exacerbated. You get that exponential issue from having that kind of load and that kind of force going through these improper movements. So it's very easy to make a mistake, a harmless mistake, but when you do it the wrong way, or you have some kind of weight, on your back or something, it can be life-changing and life-threatening in a sense. I mean, literally life-threatening, but um, you hurt your back really bad, or you tear your knee and you blast your knee up and you need knee replacement or hip replacement. It starts sending you down a dark road where it's hard to come back from in some cases. And when you start really getting issues with, on the medical front, then it's hard to come back to 100%, and you have other struggles and things that you're dealing with, and that can be avoided. So I want you to think about when you go to the gym, I want you to think about your training differently. I want you to think about it in different layers and phases. I want you to think about how your body is not just, okay, I'm going to do, a bench press or a pull or a squat or a lunge. You need to approach it from a pyramid aspect. You need to be activating the right muscles and then integrating them in the right fashion. So you can do individual muscle groups and activation, isolation. You want to bring up those muscles and bring up those areas that are undertrained, create more balance, and then when you do squats and then when you start doing these integrated movements, you'll have better form and the right muscles will be working, and then you'll be more supported during the movement. You'll have better posture, your joints will be in a better position, better alignment, you'll get more strength, more muscle development out of it, you'll have less pain, less risk for injury, and everything will be much more wonderful. So that's the nips and tits for today, and that's why single leg is hump city, because when you're working the muscles properly with a single leg exercise, like the single leg Romanian deadlift, for example, single leg squat, when you're doing it properly, you're getting multiple planes of activity and you're really doubling down on that activation aspect. Kat Smith on Facebook. Let's see here, get some comments here. Top chat. Now I only have one screen, so I kind of like click around to see all the comments and stuff. So if I missed any of them, I apologize. Kat Smith, this is stellar advice. Sometimes I can't feel my glutes when I'm doing certain exercises, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm going to look up more exercises that isolate. Yeah, do the hip bridges, do the single leg Romanians. Go on my YouTube channel, look up the lateral tube walking. It's on my training playlist. Yeah, absolutely. And those are all great things, and just do them to warm up. Do them before your leg workout, and also practice them on other days or other off days or mobility days. Will help you a lot. All right, fam. So anyway, thank you for sticking through. Tomorrow I'll see if I can get a little bit better. I'll see if I can get some better live stream or better video. It might be the same. Maybe I can output the resolution a little bit lower, but it might be similar to the same. But we will still have a fire podcast, and as long as you can hear the audio fine, it seems like everyone's stuck around for a while. So the audio is good to go. You'll have all this for the podcast. You'll have this uploaded to SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. So you'll have that. If it was unbearable, I apologize, but we'll be back to normal in a couple days. Probably Friday, and if you want to catch this later and really go into it a little bit more depth, you can always catch it again. Remember, SoundCloud and Apple Podcast for the podcast, for the audio gains, and I'll make sure I get that up ASAP. So thank you so much, fam, for watching episode 768. I will see you tomorrow for 769. Remember, go on my YouTube channel, YouTube at Swolenormous, and you can go to my training playlist, and you will see the Romanian deadlift, one of the last ones I posted. You'll also see lateral tube walking. Those are two great exercises. And for more information and to get the latest exercise breakdowns, and also links and stuff to where you can purchase some of these things, and the ones that I recommend that I use myself, make sure you hook into my daily Swole Club. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to my Facebook page, hit send message, and you'll get a response that will educate you and let you know how to join the Daily Swole Club. It's like one click away. So all you do is click a button, boom, and then you're part of the private messaging list, the VIP list, where you get exclusive recipes, nutrition content, exercise breakdowns, and instructionals and things of that nature. In addition to things like this, like specials, where I'm going to give you all links and details on how you can get some of this equipment. And it's very, very cheap. It's very easy to carry around. It's very portable. So if you're traveling a lot, little rubber bands, things that are excellent for activating the glutes. And then once you get a chance to get to the gym, you're doing more compound movements, those muscles will be activated, and I promise it will help with discomfort, it will reduce your injury risk, and it will make your strength training much more productive. So thank you so much for joining. I'll see you tomorrow for 769. Peace, McGee's fam. Deuce Magoose. Papa Swole. Out. Later, fam. Love you. Thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. I will see you tomorrow for 769.